All right, it's been a while, but we are back for the 59th episode of the
Let's go podcast. We are back better than ever. Don't worry, we are hoping to have many guests coming your way. It's been a very busy week at the HSL, busy in a good way. A lot of projects. The HSL Gridiron Gauntlet, benefiting Cherry Hill and their amazing fund to help boys attend their yeshiva is well underway. Jonas and Lowinger, we thank you for partnering up with us and really helping make this dream a reality. We have high hopes, so if you're looking to get involved, definitely feel free to message myself or Jonas and Lowinger. I know we do have a lot of new viewers to the podcast, whether it's for the upcoming softball league or currently in the basketball league now. If you want to get involved in that, feel free to reach out. So we are back. We want to go through the updated power rankings. I have David here. As you know, he loves being involved and loves being on. He made some special time here to get on this podcast, even though generally it's done by myself. Before we start, I think I want to say something that's, obviously not meant as a personal jab toward anybody. It really isn't. I myself, um, back in my heyday when I was dominating the basketball court, calling me the Jewish Draymond, like I myself wasn't the best at keeping my own cool on the court. Basketball's a very intense game. It's a very physical game, right? You're dealing with a lot of bodies hitting against each other. Like we were saying, no, we don't have a tier two because nobody. There are very few teams who actually wanted to play tier two because it's like a shot to your manliness. It's like, oh, I'm weaker than he is. We had an incident last night between two teams. It got very much out of hand, and it was very much unacceptable. At the HSL, we do have standards. As much as I think David's with us. We do our everything, and especially this is everything I do. This is my full time job. I do everything to try to make this product the best possible product for all of our players. Both talent wise, I worked my butt off to try to sorry for the language, to try to
Tushy.
increase yeah, to try to increase the talent level for teams like Link Home Care and even under 5'10", Pipe Doctor and even the quote unquote weaker teams. We're trying our best to give everybody a good product. Working hard with the gyms, trying to get the floor clean and all that stuff. And I guess my point is that with all this fun stuff and us trying to go beyond to make the product an amazing product, and the understanding that basketball is not like softball, even though stuff like this happen in every sport. It's a physical sport. People get aggressive, but there's an absolute zero tolerance for what we saw last night on both sides. I don't want to get into individuals and personal and who I did that, you did that, but I just want it to be known as there were plenty of people there as this took place and this unfolded, and I'm sure there are going to be plenty more people who are going to be finding out about this from the people there. That the HSL doesn't stand for that. Maybe other leagues do. Hopefully, other leagues don't. But we have a zero tolerance. If you have an issue, if you get upset, again, I'm not telling you to be a robot. I'm not telling you that you can't lose it on the court. You could. It happens. It's normal. I like your cap, Dave, but I'm just realizing it now. However, there is a level we expect everyone to keep, and it partly is probably my fault. I was at the game last night. I was very honest. As you guys know, I like talking honest to all of our viewers, our hundreds of viewers. I try to stay out of it because I've unfortunately been burned. I had bad experiences with previous people who just get involved in games that aren't the refs, that aren't in charge, and that have a higher, more hush of a position in the league. And I don't like doing that. And I had to make a split second decision, and I decided to not be involved. Maybe I should have gotten involved, but I didn't. Maybe that was my fault. Maybe I should have taken more control and not letting that get out of hand. And if it is, I apologize. I apologize to everyone involved. However, we just wanted to make it clear before we get into the fun stuff again that this is a zero tolerance from what happened last night. Everyone who knows what happened knows why it's a zero tolerance, why we can't have that. And I think that's all I have to say. Dave, I don't know if you have anything to add to that before I
I'll
move
just
on.
add in as a psychologist, I'll just add in that I think one of the great things about sports is that it's a very healthy outlet for aggressive feelings, aggressive behavior, and aggression. A lot of people don't realize is actually what underpins assertiveness, which is so important at work and at home. Assertiveness is how you are productive. Assertiveness is how you get promoted. Assertiveness is how you find a wife or a partner, and assertiveness is how you train your kids. So assertiveness and aggression are very closely linked. So sports does give an opportunity to really let out a lot of those aggressive instincts, and done well, Mike Dube would say, could serve as a template for how to be assertive in the rest of your life with your wife, with your family, with your work, with your other hobbies. So obviously, there needs to be boundaries and containment on how assertive and aggressive you are on the basketball court. That's sportsmanship. That's how you do things well. And maybe we should actually have Mike Dubon to talk about it again. How
I
to
think that'd
channel
be
that
very,
properly.
yeah, I really think that would be very important because, like I said, I personally, if anyone knows me on the basketball court, whether it's from, my Mendy Coco days in 12th grade or just from playing pickup in Chavetz Chaim, I'm not the most talented player, but I'm really aggressive. I'm small, 5'10", but I play big, hence the Jewish Draymond. And I get very into it.
It's
So
a generous 5'10".
I know it's a 5'10" and a half. Um, I get into it. So I trust me, I get it. And if I'm going, if I was in that game last night, I would have been right there in the thick of things. I promise. I would have. On both sides. But at the same time, we have to have a level of standard. And I appreciate your input there, Dave. And I think,
All
I
right,
don't think,
Shabbos is
I
coming. Let's
hope,
get to the power
yeah.
rankings.
All right.
Yeah.
I hope this is all that has to be said on it. Okay. So this week is actually the most movement we've had in the power rankings in a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. We'll start actually at the bottom two. The bottom two seeds, the 13 and 14, MS Motors and law offices of Roman Aminoff, Boris M. Tax Planning faced off. I missed the game. I had my cousins Vart, Mazel Tov to my uncle Yaakov and to my cousin Tehila.
Mazel
Anyways,
tov.
so thank you. They faced off against each other. Law offices went up to, I think, got up to a 19-point lead. MS Motors came in desperate. Both came in desperate, needed a win. Both came in at 0 and 2. And I wasn't there, but from what I heard, MS Motors stormed back. They actually led by Mr. Alone, the former YU big man. I think 6'6", 6'7". He had like 25 points, 17 rebounds, couple dunks, 4 or 5 blocks. Guy had a monster game. And they stormed back and they won by 6 or 7 points. So we're gonna keep them. Lofts is Roman Aminoff at 14. MS Motors will stay at 13. Coming in at the 12 and dropping a spot is Addictive Ad Simchas by Shloyo.
Oof.
Both great people, Shloyo and Jacob. However, and their players are solid players. But, I keep on saying that, they're good players just to learn to play together, but it's already been 3 weeks now. They took a tough loss to Half Construction, who's, by the way, a great team. They impress me every week, more and more. But, they really lost by 15, 20 points. They were down by 8 right away and basically down by 8 to 17 points the whole game. T. Ross, a great player. Zitwer's a great player. Fader's a great player. A lot of good players. However, this having trouble. I was talking to T. Roth after the game, and we were saying how, for some reason they're just having trouble playing together. They're all solid players, just not connecting. So hopefully it does for them eventually, but for now they're gonna, drop a seed down to the 12. Coming in at 11, switching places with them is Barbacoa. Um, Although Barbacoa did lose their last game, they played a very close game against the Fly Vipers, who were missing one of their better players. However, they did debut um, two of their two guys who they claim are going to be qualifying for the playoffs. Two DRS alumni, Yoav Deutsch and Jeremy Brody, who are very solid players. Um, they played a close game against a good team. Fly Vipers are definitely a top 8 team in the league, top 7 team even, as we'll see. And they played tough. They competed. They were down, I think they lost by 3 on a last second three with like 20 or so seconds left. So they move up to the 11th spot. Coming in at the 10 and moving down a spot is Gordon Companies. Gordon Companies have their full team. They played against Royal Adjuster, who had their full team, including the debut of Jonathan Baez, who did not disappoint. We'll get to that later. And they were just, just another. It didn't seem like they were on the same level of competitiveness for the most part of the game. Jack Ross played really well. He had, as usual, he had a bunch of points. He had a bunch of rebounds. I think it's really up to the rest of the team.
How do we recruit Jack Ross to be full time? He's dividing his attention between like three basketball leagues at the moment. How do we recruit him to be full
Yeah.
time HSL?
Well, he's played every game, but he
Oh, he
just hasn't.
has.
Yeah,
Sounds like you're recruiting him. Oh, because when I spoke to him, he's like, "Oh, we'll see how much I can play." Blah blah blah.
for JSL plays Sundays. We have them playing Thursdays. They're in the Thursday divisions to try to allow them to play.
Got
Gordon
it.
Companies are a bunch of very solid players. Like Solomon's a solid player. Tabak's a solid player. Prager, by the way, shout out to Prager, had a fantastic game. He actually had one move in specific. right in the beginning of the game. Bias on Prager like a movie. He had a gorgeous step back three right over him. It was not going to tie the game at three. It was right in the beginning, but he played really well. I think they need one guy. I think they need one more guy. They need one more real star to, play with to play with Jack Ross, and the rest of the guys are solid players that will fit in the spots perfectly. But until they get that star, I think that they're going to remain towards the bottom, at least for now. Hopefully, they prove me wrong. They are 1-2. They did win. You have to remember the first week, and they are ahead of many teams in the standings. And if you actually close out right now, they'd probably be very close to a playoff spot. So they do have that going for them, and hopefully they'll pick it back up. They have a big matchup next week against the Vly Vipers. I don't know how many of you remember the podcast and the infamous game from last year between Vly and it was CTC last year, now Gordon Companies. But that'll be a fun one. Uh, Dylan versus Jeremy. Can't wait to see that play out. Coming in at the 9 in the power rankings is Annie's Kitchen, La Pizzeria, who moves up a spot to 9. The Ibrahimi and his team, they're the most confusing team. I can never figure them out. They don't play with any guy over 5'10". They come in 20 minutes late, but yet they just are always there. They fell down to under 5'10" Pipe Doctor and Caleb Palm by like 23 points in the first half. And at one point, they're down by one with the ball with like a minute left to go in the game. They ended up losing by a few points, but they battled all the way back. They played without a big man, and they find themselves in almost every single game. So they'll move up to the 9 seed. Coming in at the 8, and very impressive, and they keep on impressing me, and they keep on missing guys, and they're still playing really well as Hap Construction, who really dismantled Diktabat by Shoyo. It's Elon Shamsayev, Moshe Stayev running the team. They want the smoke. They're very upset about their opening night loss to Link Home Care by 20 points. They think they very much underperformed, and they want the smoke. They want I was making fun of them after. I'm like, I need to see you beat a top 5 team in the league first. They're like, yeah, we want it. We want it. Give us the better team. So let's see what happens. But for now, they had a very decisive win. They're 2 and
What does
1,
that mean? They
top
want
of
the
their
smoke? I
division.
never heard that. I'm an old guy.
Want the smoke. They want the tough competition. They don't want to run through their schedule and
They
beat
want
up
the
on the bad teams.
smoke.
They want to beat the good teams also.
All right,
Yeah, I like that. It's a good phrase.
I
Who used
like it
that
too.
phrase? Who used that phrase? I like that. Someone used that phrase. Messaged me yesterday. That's probably why I just said it. Coming in at 7 and moving up one as well. Actually, I think I wrote up one, but I think they moved down one. I have to check later. But coming in at 7 in the power rankings is the Fly Vipers. I think they moved down one. Dylan's not going to be happy about that. They were missing one of their better players. However, they did allow Barbacoa, who is, I would say on the bottom end of the league, to really hang around with them all game. And they just won on a last second three. So for that reason, they moved down. Probably the biggest news of the power rankings this week, and I'm gonna have to deal with a lot of messages from these people, is day 3 rides to fly. Great people, great sponsors. Shout out to day 3 and to rides to fly. Awesome to work with.
Yeah, I had a good conversation
But
with Ellie Bosch this week. We didn't close the deal yet, but we're working on it.
yeah, we are. And I was speaking to Alibash before the podcast, and I told them that you know we're gonna hopefully do something together. But Rides to Fly also fantastic people. I got a lot of people from Queens area telling me, Avi, you're telling me Rides to Fly is better than Uber, but they won't take me from my house to LaGuardia. I'm like, that's the only place they won't go. That's a 10-minute drive. Like, you want to go from your house to Brooklyn, to Newark, to Five Towns, anywhere else. So Rides to Fly will literally drive you anywhere, but just not a 10-minute drive, which probably makes a lot of sense. Like, they're paying these people, probably top dollar, and they're also treating you really, really well. 10 minutes is like sort of like it's very hard. It's very hard for them as a business. So, we do have a lot of people that follow us from the Five Towns and Brooklyn area, from Great Neck, from West Hempstead. And, they've definitely gotten a lot of calls from us so far. And hopefully that will continue. Hopefully we can create some more business for them. Anyways, day 3 Rise to Fly. We hyped up the big game big time against Link. I know there's a lot of, as Dave likes to say, bait and switch for that game. Wasser and Allswing pulled out the day or two before. Then they brought in all 3 Rubin brothers, which Dave, you're not familiar with. Moshe and Naftali are great, but Svi Rubin, the most stark of the Rubins, is absolutely phenomenal. He was the star, him and Wasser, on the Shore Ash basketball team. Just put in perspective, the Shores basketball team this past summer was Wasser, Svi Rubin, Jacoby, and Allswing were 4 of the 5 starters. It was a crazy team. Apparently they didn't lose, but day 3 Rides to Fly just looked again like they weren't in the same. They just weren't in the same level. They fell down 15 early. They did climb back within 6. They played well, but with the top 5 teams that I'm about to list off, as of now, Ellie Dax and the boys, I think are one little level below them. And it could be they'll prove me wrong. They moved up to the 3 last week, but for now I'll put them at 6. Coming at 5 and moving down one, you won't be happy with me, is Caleb Pollen, an under 5'10" pipe doctor. They're up by 25. They let a team with no size down 25 or down 23 climb back and basically tie the game. When you do that and you fall apart like that, you definitely don't deserve to stay where you are. So they move down to the 5 seed. In the 4 seed, and replacing them is Jules by DK. What's wrong, Dave?
It's an aggressive move. That's almost like moving Link out of the top spot because remind me why we moved them out of the top spot because they didn't win by enough.
We moved Link out of the top spot because Olin Realty. No, oh right, no, right. The week before, yeah, because Link did, it was a very non-decisive win. They slept walk through the game and they
If you
barely won.
close the deal, I don't know. If you close the deal, I don't think we should be moving people out of spots.
All right.
There's an idea, in sports they say you got to take care of business. The Yankees, they have a 3 game set with I don't know who stinks. The Angels. Yeah, they took 2 out of 3, took care of business. And say, oh, but they didn't win the third game. They only won the second game by 1 run. That's not how we look at it. That's my
Right.
take. That's my 2 cents.
Right. Okay. I hear. I also do think that based on the performance, the other 4 teams that I'm about to name are just better than them. How their
Okay.
team performed.
Those are
It's not the
fighting
secondary.
words. All right.
So
All right.
Jules by DK. Jules by DK had a very, very competitive game against Olin Realty. They did lose by a couple of points. Olin Realty was missing their center, but they played really well. Olin Realty is a really good team. I think I overhyped them in the beginning, and now everyone's bashing on Olin Realty, like, oh, they're not good. They are a very, very good team. Are they as good as Link? I don't think so. But they're a fantastic team, and Jules Badika is right there. The super competitive game. And again, I know this sounds like excuses, but the top players in Jules Badika that haven't played yet this season, that played this past game, they haven't played since the championship game last season. They were on Annie's Kitchen last season, so they came in rusty. They played really well. They competed, and I just think their talent is worthy of them being the 4. Big matchup next week. Jules by DK is going to be the matchup of the week versus Royal Adjuster, who we're getting to right now. Big matchup to look for. It should be a really really good game. Royal Adjuster had the debut of Jonathan Baez, as we if you're following my status, you now know. Jonathan had a really really good game on all sides of the ball. He played great defense, shooting, rebounding, assists. It was a very solid all around game for him and for the team. They played really well together. They meshed together. Like we said earlier, they really handled Gordon Companies fairly easily. And for that reason, they move up from 6 to 3. I told you, I said multiple times, I'll refuse to move them up in the power rankings until I see the man play. I saw the man play, and now they're moved up to the 3 seed. So we have Royal Adjuster at 3 again. Matchup to look out for next week. Royal Adjuster versus Jules by DK. It should be a absolutely fantastic, fantastic matchup. Coming in at number 2 and staying at number 2 is Olam Realty. Yes, you did win, guys, but you only won by a couple points. Yes, you were missing your big man, but you only won by a couple points. You're a very good team. I think they're great. I do think they're the second best team in the league. However, Link Home Care will remain the 1 seed. I'm not really going to base anything off of what they did against Day 3 Rise to Fly. I do think, with all due respect to the Rubin brothers, Moshe is very solid. Is beyond fantastic. And Aftali is really good also. I just think having All Swing in there in middle of that paint is just a game stopper. I think Link really lets up. I wish we could do the math on this somehow, but a legitimate 15 to 20 points less a game with Wasser down there at defense. Like I don't even think I really think it's not an exaggeration. He's just such a force down there. And obviously Wasser is Wasser. So at the very least, it cancels out. I think Link was even better with Wasser and All Swing than with the Rubin brothers. If you have to take them 3 or those 2, Pacey played phenomenal. He had a couple of fantastic moves. So I have to send you, Dave, to put on our YouTube channel. Really good player. I think Pacey might be the most underrated scorer in the league. He might be the best straight up scorer in the league. The guy is just fantastic. He just fundamentally just knows how to score. Super smooth. And yeah, Link's going to stay at 1. So it was a great week. A couple hiccups, but which is expected to happen, which always will happen. Comment on the gym. Listen, we try to accommodate as much as we can. We're going to be using Hardcore the rest of the way. We're working with them to try to help, fix the floor. It's not unplayable. I know it's not as awesome as the Common Point Little Neck floor we used last night, but when we had the Little Neck floor last season, everyone's saying, "Oh, the floor is great, but the gym's too small." So, you can't win every battle. We're trying to at HSL we try to win every battle, but it's a lot of times very difficult. So work with us
And
here. We'll work with
everybody
you.
should know that what obviously at the beginning about working as tush off, it's really, really true. We got more involved with Hard Torah because people were upset about Common Point because of dimensions. Now people are upset at Arturo. It's hard to please everybody all the time, but Avi really works very hard. We share it, Hilliker Softball League at gmail.com. Avi probably has had, I'm not exaggerating, probably 200 to 300 email exchanges uh, with the executive director at Arctur. I'm scared to know what their phone history looks like. All right, I got to bounce, Avi.
All right. Thanks, guys. And we're looking forward to next week. Should be a lot of fun. Week 4 coming up, HSL basketball, and stay tuned for everything else HSL. Thanks, guys.
All right.